Hi there, it's Nicole for Lawn Fawn, and today I have a set of 5 Hugs cards to share with you featuring the brand new Scripty Hugs die. And I'm also using some of the new pint-sized beachside paper and combining them with some older stamps, the Penelope's Blossoms and also the Sophie's Sentiments. I wanted to create a set of cards that would work for get well soon, and obviously in thinking of you. I found that as I was looking through my stash that I was running a little low. So I decided to use the Misty stamping tool to quickly and easily stamp a whole bunch of these panels for my cards so that the stamping is exact every single time. And what I did here was I die cut a bunch of rectangles using the A2 sized stitched rectangles die from Lawn Fawn, and then I'm simply lining it up there at the 4 1/4 mark because the bottom half of the card is going to be pattern paper, and I'd already kind of pre-laid that out so I knew where I wanted to put it. Laid the stamp out there on my Misty stamping tool with a die cut Hugs that I've just die cut from some white cardstock, just to give me a guideline to know where I need to put that little greenery stamp, and then I'm going to stamp it again on the other side. So I'm doing all 5 of them at one time. It makes it really quick and easy. No alternating between stamps or designs, going through all of them, doing the same thing on all of them before moving on. And I'm using the freshly cut grass ink from Lawn Fawn. This is one of their brand new inks. In fact, all the inks I'm going to be using for the flower stamping are Lawn Fawn inks. Now I've laid out the roses, and I'm going to be doing the exact same thing. I'm going to actually pick all of them up at one time after I get them positioned where I want them to go. Flip the Misty tool over and pick them up. Make sure it's lined up because the paper does have a tendency to stick when the stamps are clean and don't have ink on them. And this time, instead of stamping all of the images one color, I'm actually using the Sunflower Fake Tan as well as the Mermaid Lagoon inks, and inking each individual stamp a different color and then stamping them all at once. It makes it so super easy to do it this way. Because the stamps are all far enough apart from each other, it's really easy to go ahead and ink them up all separately, but then stamp them all at one time. It's just a huge time saver and makes creating a set of cards like this so easy. I was inspired to do all of these, or this particular set of cards, not only because I needed these types of cards for my stash just to be able to send out at a moment's notice, but I loved that the Beachside 6x6 pattern paper pack had all of these designs in 5 different colors, and I thought they would make a really pretty set. So this would be something that would be nice as a gift set as well, maybe if you doubled up or tripled even the amount of cards you made, because you could get several. I am going to do the same thing with my greeting. I'm actually using 2 different greetings. I'm going to have 3 thinking of yous and then 2 of the other greeting. So I'm simply laid it out there and then cleaned it between each inking so that I could change the color. I stamped the greeting here in a color that coordinates with the stripe of paper that's going to go along the bottom. So whether I was using kind of the lighter blue paper, I used the Mermaid Lagoon ink. For that dark navy paper, I used the Deep Sea. For the kind of coral paper, I used the Fake Tan. And then for the pink paper, I used Wild Rose. Once I have all of my greetings there, and this is where I switched the greeting, so I was able to do 3 of them all at once, and then I kind of had to lay it back out, which is not a big deal, and this one says get well soon, and then I'll create a couple of these. That way I can just pick it up and make sure that I get it exactly where I want it to go again, and I'll ink it up with the inks that I want to use for that greeting, or to coordinate with the stripe of paper that'll go along the bottom. and then all of my stamping with the Misty is complete, and that was so quick and easy. Now for the stripes of paper along the bottom, I am going to die cut all of these 6x6 papers using that A2 size stitched rectangle die. And that way I can trim a little strip from one long side of this, and then I can actually get double the amount of cards. So I could create quite a few more cards than just the ones that I'm showing here. These are just the 5 styles that I created. But that way you get the most out of the die cut that you have created right here. So there isn't any waste. So I'm using all 5 of these colors like I mentioned earlier. Really fun, great, beachy type of colors. And then I'm going to cut the Hugs Scripty die quite a few times, actually 15 times for the 5 cards here, because I'm going to triple them up. Now for the top one, I am using Distress ink to color in the white cardstock. The reason I'm using 3 for each is I wanted it to have a more substantial look than just being flat, where all the stamping that it's going to sit around and on is really flat. I thought this would give some nice dimension. So what I'm doing with the Distress inks is slightly I'm making it darker near the bottom and then lightening it near the top. So you can see I'm really kind of pouncing it on there darker near the bottom. And then I lighten my hand or won't re-ink it as I ink the top of the die cut. I am using the Chipped Sapphire, Abandoned Coral, Worn Lipstick, and Tumbled Glass for these Scripty Hugs. There will be 2 of them that were colored in with the tumbled glass simply because the 2 colors of lighter blue that I used, I didn't think had enough difference in them to warrant using a different ink. In fact, I used the Mermaid Lagoon for stamping the coordinating greeting on 2 of those cards. So those are really similar. Once these are all inked up, I'll set those aside and I can start assembling the cards. Move that out of the way a little bit. I have my card bases here, which are white card bases, and I'm going to add some adhesive along the bottom and then attach those strips that I have already die cut and trimmed down along the bottom of each of these card bases. The pattern paper card strip is going to go directly on the card base. Then I've cut some thin strips of a stripe paper as well, and that is going to go right behind the stamped panel that I created. And that way I can raise up the stamped panel with a little bit of foam adhesive to give it even more dimension. So I'm going to grab one of those panels here, add some adhesive along that long bottom side, grab one of those stripe panels. This is another Beachside 6x6 pattern paper. And then I'll grab that foam adhesive, flip that over, and I'm just going to put some long foam adhesive strips on the back of that panel, pull off all that backing paper, and then pop that up on the top portion of my card. And I like how it gives that little bit of definition, little bit of dimension, overhanging the more solid pattern along the bottom. I'm going to use the Zig glue pen to add some little dots of glue now to one of the white die cuts. This is how I'm going to add that dimensional Hugs. Go ahead and glue that in place, and I'm going to use an acrylic block to hold that down while I grab another white Hugs and add some little dots of glue with the Zig glue pen to this one as well. And then I will simply adhere that directly on top of the first one, and you can already see that it's starting to have some nice dimension there. And then I'll take the coordinating Hugs that I have colored in with the Distress ink and pop that on top to finish off my dimensional greeting. Then I'll let my acrylic block sit there for a minute until the glue dries. The last thing I'm going to do is add some Wink of Stella clear glitter pen to the flowers on the card. Thanks for watching this video showcasing the brand new Lawn Fawn Scripty Hugs die. The supplies I've used are listed and linked below the video on YouTube. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.